Hey folks, how's it going? Jason here, hanging out with you. Wanted to do a vlog, just kind of a casual, like IRL type vlog, and talk about, or just answer a question that keeps coming up in my Twitch streams. And it's something that kind of has a obviously long backstory. But I figure, why not just turn on the camera and talk about it, and maybe it will inspire some others to get involved in music. So the question is, how I got involved with DJing and what prompted me to actually get involved with that. And it's kind of a long story that I won't get into all of the specifics, of course, but I want to break down some of it and even showcase a little bit of this here. My DJ journey has been a long journey, to be honest, dating back even to when I was a child and my father would spin records on vinyl, and that's always been around in my household. In fact, I still have my turntable over here, and I got another 1200 over there. So, I mean, vinyl and music has always been around. Even when I was a kid, and I was kind of being prepped for music and DJing and being a musician, all that. I didn't even know about it as a young kid, but the story begins when I was 14 and I got a drum set. So, to answer the question very broadly, how did I get into DJing is, well, drumming. Drumming was really the catalyst that prompted me to jump into DJing, because I realized very early on, after playing drums for only a couple of years, that DJing and spinning and mixing music together is very much the same as playing an instrument, especially drums, specifically drums, because we're dealing with beats, downbeats, counting measures and all that sort of thing. So it's very, very much similar. At least it was to me. That's how I visualized it. So getting into DJing was kind of, drums was like my gateway drug, right? So I just kind of went into it, and it really made sense. It started to make sense to me, and things were really connected early on. I realized that, a kick drum and a snare drum and a song, or there's an intro on how the song is, and then there's a verse, and then there's a chorus, and then there's a breakdown where there's maybe some more drums and more stuff that I can play with and have fun with and mix into, and then there's an outro. Like the song structure made a lot of sense to me, and I had been playing drums for about 2 years at that point, so I understood beats, rhythm per se. So that's the broad answer. Is drums, getting involved with drums when I was 14. And then, so when I turned 16 is really when it started to take off. And I saved up enough money to purchase, and remember, at 16 years old, I'm very excited because I got my driver's license. I was driving a car now. I was driving myself to high school. This is an exciting time. So a lot of money went into my car and my stereo and lights and fog lights and window tint. Just, we're young kids, right? So, but I saved up enough money to purchase one turntable. I figured, if I'm going to get into DJing, I need to do this with one. I needed to do it with two turntables, of course, but I didn't have enough money to buy both. As you know, when it comes to gear, it's best to step up and save up and get the right gear that will do the best job for you. We work with budgets, right? And not everyone has unlimited money to just throw at gear. But if you save up and you plan it out, just get the best gear that will do what you need it to do within your budget. And for me, I didn't really want to sacrifice by getting some low-end gear that I had to replace in a year. My dad taught me that very, very early on. Buy it right, do it right the first time, buy it right the first time, invest in the gear, you'll be way happier in the long run. So that's something that's been instilled in me. So I saved up and I bought a SL1200 over here, and it's a workhorse. It's fantastic. But I had one turntable, and then the other was a CD player. So we just use little Sony or Pioneer CD players. So when I started DJing, to be honest, I would mix. In my mix, I would start the CD player, and I had just a little Newmark 2-channel mixer, little cheapy $50 mixer, not even great, but man, I use that thing so much. But anyway, I'd play the CD, and then I would figure out what the tempo is there in my head, and then I'd come over to the turntable, put a record on, and then use the pitch slider to try to match it as best I could, and then mix into it. And I would get fancy, and I would do little fills and tricks to try to mix out of that, because you can't. When I start the CD player, now the vinyl's playing, pull out the CD, put another CD in. This was before we even made burn CDs, to be honest. I'd take crates of CDs and put that in, and I would do like backspins, or I would do like little fills, and try to like make it interesting, and then start the song with the play button. And very interesting, doing it very much the hard way in that time, but it was still fun, man. It was still fun, and I feel like I've done lots of things the hard way in the beginning, and I think that makes you appreciate the when you step up to something like this. This is the Denon Prime 4, and I just have so many options now. I have sample pads, I have the performance pads, I have effects, I got 4-channel mixer here, I've got a 10-inch touchscreen, like I have effects built into each channel. Like, it's crazy. Like, I have so many options now. And doing it the hard way for so long, or at least in the early days, has made me appreciate and to be able to utilize this stuff, I think, better now. I have a very deep understanding of audio and routing and signal flow. So that makes this that much more sweet. I just recently got this, and that's why I'm kind of like talking about all this sort of thing, because like I finally stepped into the 21st century. I'm finally into modern age with my DJ stuff, which is really cool. So yeah, speaking about with DJing and stuff, I started to realize early on that a kick drum and a snare drum and all these things, that they just go together. It's like if I had 2 drummers playing at the same time, one drummer's here, one drummer's here, I would tell them to play at the same time. Or if it's on beat 2, that's the snare hit, I would cue up beat 2 over here, and I would just mix it in. Like, I started to visualize music, started to visualize how that looks, and it started to make a lot of sense. So, there's lots of forms of DJing. There's scratch DJing, there's, straight up mixing, there's like house music mixing, there's, top 40 mixing, and there's different effects and things, and there's probably 20 or 30 different types of different, styles and effects and fade in and fade outs, and like different styles of DJing that you can do. And I always just kind of try to do a little bit of a hybrid of that. I wasn't one or the other DJ. I wanted to also scratch, because scratch DJing is very much like a drum fill. And that's how I see it. Even today, that's like when I'm doing a scratch or a fill, that's how I see it. That's how I hear it, is a fill, like on the drums. Toms, floor toms, cymbal, like I hear all that stuff. And so it starts to make a lot of sense. Kick drums, snare drums, same thing. So, I mean, what we can do actually is I can go ahead and pop up, and we can take a look at some of this stuff. And I can just give you an idea. Very basic stuff here. I'll take one of my originals here, so we don't have any issues with, copyright and all that sort of thing. Let's go ahead and let's put the same song on both decks here. I'll switch to this cam so that you can see everything. Working? Okay, cool. So we got both going on here. Let me go ahead and just fire it up. All right, so what I'll do is I'll demonstrate just a little bit about fills and mixing a little bit. So I'm going to take one of my originals here, and I'll start it at the beginning here, and I'm going to create a loop point at the very beginning of this so that we can loop this over and over. Oh, not that song, though. That's a great song, though. I'm going to create a loop point right here. Just loop these 4 bars. 1, 2, 3. Okay, there's my loop point. So I've got this here looping infinitely here. Now, if I come in here and now let's just that's looping. It's doing its thing. Everyone's out there partying, having a good time. Let's come over here to this other deck here, and let's start the song. And I'm gonna grab. There's a part here. There's a part up here where I do a little vocal stab, and I'm gonna grab that section here, and then we'll work with it. We'll do a fill. Yeah. Right there. I'm gonna create a cue point right there. So. All right, so I've got that available. So basically, when it comes to scratching, And being a scratch DJ, you just want to have fun with it. You just want to throw it in there and have a good time. So let's do that. Have this up. I'm going to roll off some of the low end on the bass on here so it doesn't confuse it with the other bass that's there. You know, we're just having fun. We're having fun with it. And that right there is just basically doing fills, like drum fills. You know, you're thinking of rhythms in your head. It's just whatever comes out, comes out. And that's what I love most about it. You can do the same thing with like kick drums. We stop this here, go to the top of the track. I know that there's a drum fill, me coming into this. There's a kick drum there, so you can play with the kick drum. You can play with it. You can actually create like different drum hits. It's playing in time. You just have fun with it. That's all it is. So right there, you know, you can really just kick back and have fun with doing fills and kick drums and snare scratches and this is not even like anything crazy. This is like tip of the iceberg, very basic 101 stuff here, and I'm not even doing it very clean. I'm just having fun. So yeah, I don't know. It's just something I wanted to throw in and do a quick little vlog about and talk about it. I think it's cool. I think it's really cool. And I appreciate everyone who shows up at the streams. I stream on Twitch every Friday night, sometimes on Saturday nights. We get down. I play all kinds of music, and it's fun, man. I love it. This is a new rig for me, so I've actually only performed once live with it, so I'm still figuring it out and getting it all together, but it's great. It's great. So twitch.tv/The Heine House if you want to come by. If you found this at all interesting, give it a thumbs up. And I hope you all have an amazing day. Live through music. Have a good time. Be inspired. Be good. And yeah, we'll see you guys out there live. You can't learn this in a book. Back then we See you later. Taking you back to bounce around in the 90s, courtesy of your boy Jay Heine.